Okay, everybody, welcome to the Grolier. We have some wonderful readers for you today, but first, I'm gonna ask everybody to silence their cell phones. Anything you can see. And let's see. So we're gonna have Kate Colby and Hannah Brooks-Motl and Adam Tobin. So without further ado, I believe we have Hannah going first. Yes. Okay. Everybody, welcome Hannah.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much to the Grolier, and thanks, James. Thank you, Adam, and thank you, Kate, for these readings tonight. I'm going to read a few from my latest book, Ultraviolet of the Genuine, and then a very new poem. And I will start with like the one poem I have that mentions Boston, and it's called Poet Dream. A published novel, a large recliner, covered in thin red fabric, very brutal. An asshole geography, like Boston. The ones who didn't die righteously, herons and the beans, picking their way across Rococo leaf. Marguerite, a biography. And this is for Adam. We share a love of Marguerite Young, who was also in this poem. Ronald Johnson loved his parents. Ed Dorn kicked his childhood down the road, had it kicked, both from Kansas. Of the Middle West, she called it, Marguerite Young wrote the Viennese philosopher, his wife, you need some perspective. I am so happy here in New York. Maybe you know the story of the poet who cleaned hospitals. Farmers read her work throughout the 1950s. It seemed the content of forever. Unremembered but for the recluse in their hour, this singing at the door for meat. Feel free of these associations, or remain unmoved on the subject of private stupidity, its limits and obstacles. Why even suppose? Now I was afraid. It brought me in to expression. Green X's and the word silver patiently diagonaled in orange, hanging now, crystal in blue. My worthiest reading includes staring at labor. Someone in the woods of Wisconsin skins the Arcadia like a marriage guide. Omnibus. In honor of the bookstore, I tried to choose my most bookstory poems, so lots of name drops in here. Omnibus. One's sensitivities can wander out very far, heading to great imprecision. Eliot, who loved Pascal, who invented the omnibus to prove that God exists, also hated Montaigne. A gas, an infecting mist, Thomas said, the incarnation of doubt, an origin of personality who flatters and lies, involves us all in meandering, the melting world of abundancing. Voice is a prettily unhelpful term. First purple flower that lives a whole morning and afternoon, dying in evening light, something voice would do. An ambivalence muttering, and who wants to accompany that? But company it was, over the hard brown ground, petals, sounds. The shield. I had a literary injury suddenly, an interlocutor in my heel, as though the hand of mother still rested there, squeezing and dipping me in rigorous waters and classicism's frail will. And an evil thought just to my right, evil meditation on the hypocrisies of a friend, our small pious takes in some proven place that aches solid earth and coats the arrow of decay. I wish we lived like this forever, coming forth in winter to antagonize the mind. A poet is a normal person covered in ticks, now possessed of throbs and gnaws and stings, robbed of understanding, or robed within all this hammering that thinks. The rush of speech, The feel of rush, no more distant than the cities of events, ergo primary nature, which must be plain, and pain, the dialogue you have there, opening one's eyes, coming back from far away. Ultraviolet of the genuine. This is a story about phrasing being told on two levels. It has good bones, no bones, a minimum of advantages. It's got a garden path at the height of summer, a little after. Pyramids of flowing pain. A window opens its latent layer. The songbook leaked. I still think it's powerful. A theory peaked. I think I was free there, holding a goblet, one mutating afternoon. That's not personal, anecdotal. It just contributes. Whatever I say intentionally, that's about rhythm. I'll begin again. And this poem is called Women on Zoom. I looked behind me, he said. Flowering cherries, a petal through the RAV4, whole slice of grapefruit in the glass. I had a target there, she mourned. Writers, I say we're scruffy. Our faucets need pliers to change the temps. What do you have to do with ponderosa chips lined up on the log? It is everyone's hurt. The lake is so great. There's so much Western feeling to hold on to inside it. Are you chilled yet? To hold on to inside, rename the sloping fringe, golf course, solar field, bob frost, golf frost, bob course, solar golf, field frost. You must have a good memory, course, solar bob. These RVs in the pines you see. Artists talked, shared their woes with postage or mailing. She was beautiful, but her life fell down. They were woeful rich, each of them bound for Norway, or recently returned from an encounter on the high trail, old rhymes from the mountainside, a meeting with a thing they dreamed, and other struggles to afford. Lavareda steps, purple cones hanging down. An infelicitous moment in the dark, misspeaking or some familiarity, I'm sad to say, truly sad, on tax day in Berkeley, California, perched here in the facts. LaDonna is in Texas, and Karen is in Texas. Gwen's face in the lower left corner, forever and ever, lower left Florida, Texas miles, and Florida side, whatever has happened to you. Through the gummy buff wet of Houston, engage one cold April day, do up that long brown hair. Azalea flowers so cold, to say nothing of tulips, lightly hissing rain and grayish leaf wet gum through which the man rode his bike, rolled his bike slowly, while his white standard poodle hopped on muddy legs around. What great truths might I practice today? Acceptance, acquiescence, important personal goals. Deep, inconsolable knowledge, vision, it's a package. There was so much going on. At this moment, there were fleets and goods. Oh, the imperiled goods, the invaluable arguments. Sad, drowsy way life looks at you. Inner lives that fill and go out, rage and righteousness, or is it always burning and pleasant, taking off pressure, release of minor uncertainties, another heroic role of what's worthy and nice, big and occupying, strenuous, crammed in the pleasing scorch. But wondering I gave myself away, duh. Everyone alive who ever lived, duh, duh, duh. Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow, upright in the fog, then toppled over, a last blurt. It goes back to what are the contents of your mind in the verse. Hauling mulch, spreading the black twigs around, away from the soiled nest on my knees, pushing down the slope in bitter, flagrant scripts. You think this is bad and slash that everyone deserves. Going around rotted stuff of my feet, success and health in the verse. For there is nothing that leaves you not cold, as all these women on Zoom must know. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming, everyone. Thank you, James, for organizing. And thank you, Adam and Hannah, for reading with me. I'm going to read from a couple of recent books and then a little bit from a forthcoming one. Don't worry, my poems are very short. Dupe. 2 precepts of artificial intelligence on television. Never show a computer its code, and the more a robot understands, the less likely it is to know it's not real. I am nothing if not aware the self is made the shape that explains it. The purpose of living is to keep alive. What I should know, I should know. Night vision. Shadows are ideas of what casts them. The moon is there to match, but only on one side. Stars pick through leaves. A tree-shaped black space swallows itself. If I could disgorge my heart like a starfish's stomach, I'd draw you in. But I only have this head, and how I love you looks more like me than I do. Airlock. Form is what we share the world with. A wave that doesn't take the water with it. Only you contain me like a sieve sorts the sea. We hold our heads in each other's hands, found our air Atlantis, the key to which breaks the lock by breaking in it. Postscript. At the time of writing, what's more important? Timeliness or verisimilitude? I mean for you. A door's a door if not open. Anything can be a lullaby. What's your poison? My shadow thin as day is long, in the teeth, slung down the street. Stones are contained within walls. A dirt patch, weak sapling won't hold in this wind. The world is a trap door behind which I reach toward. Nothing is never enough. If you count light, length between stars, the back of my eyes, seeing my sockets plug into the dark, there's only this to go on. As ever. How much time do I hold at any moment? Just think of it. Why am I still not infinite? All I know but won't tell from the back of the tapestry. Can't burn a burning thing. The forest on fire I don't see behind this tree. I have a vestigial origin in my eye, forever closing, nesting doors, a gold leaf box of gold, the head a hinge it opens with. Is what I want more a way out or way in? Words close like keyholes with keys in them. You there in the tower, let down your shadows to climb out of. Every time I find my way inside, I'm shown the missing door. I always lose my voice.
You want some water?
No, I think I'm okay, thank you. Looker. If we are here to witness the world, what happens when we see what we are not designed to? Cells divide on slides. A river slithers from an airplane window. A girl applies mascara to the camera. I saw a sunfish once, thick pad of fucked up flesh floating. What good does this ugliness? Alien form of being, what it was. I have been threaded with a scope, am clear in there. Out here, my golden fleece fades into the side of the hide that holds the meat. Gem. As metaphor takes care of a relation, you can't measure a phenomenon with a tool it acts upon. Exactly only means with inexactness, unlike wind and wound, which the sound will pick for you. Flying by winterized islands of dormers, cormorants crowd onto nautical garbage. Trees lean into November's embers. Oh, you forever burning down the whole house to find the diamond. Lorem ipsum. 1/3 of Pompeii remains interred, preserved for future methods of discerning it. Should I too leave a few things unheeded in interest of finer picks and sieves, even when of same my bones are made? A cast of space, my empty form, arms thrown open to what would bury and be then with me. Intact amphora, vitrified face. Content is a pain through which to see its ruin. Loser. Every Thanksgiving Day at noon, my father-in-law plays Alice's Restaurant, talks along, laughs raucously, grain under glass of his youth. Remember the 120 minutes when Beck slowly removes and hurls his boot? All right then, as Thurston says. It's a first name world with a formal problem. The older I get, the less I will have to recall till my last act sticks a fork in this bird is finished. It's said what matters is what you do, not what you want. We are here, all right, filling up our empty sandbags with the castle walls. Product placement. This one's for Ruth Lepson. This poem has been pre-populated with the sea for ease of access, like gifts on TV, lids wrapped separately. Just what I asked for, a ready-made estuary, dun grapes, gold reeds, the sound lapping up against it. My next poem will be of the heat-sealed variety, difficult to crack, other than with sharp shears trapped in the same packaging. I approached the actual ocean once, was turned away, back to this widget with which the words for it are made. Finally, I'm excited because I just got an advance reading copy of this book that comes out in September. And it's poety prose or prosy poetry. It's kind of a poetic memoir. It's also critical and I don't know, it's cultural criticism, I guess. And it's situated, although it doesn't much concern, in the first 100 days of the pandemic. And I'm just going to read, there's a little preamble in hopes of enticing you. It begins how it ends. I've become obsessed with plastic trash. My kids' things in particular cause me stress. Spider rings, adhesive jewels, Groucho glasses. I can't stand it when they bring this stuff home, knowing I'll have thrown it away by the end of the day. I pull the strings from their relentless necklaces and keep the beads in a jar, as though I might save the world by finding a new use for them. 2 days ago, I was at the Providence Athenaeum, an antique private library that keeps itself alive partly by hosting weddings for would-be Renaissance people among its literary bric-a-brac. I go there weekly to sit in a hidden nook in the biography section, where the sun wheezes through a window grill congested with ivy. While working on a poem, I looked up and saw Jean Rhys's autobiography, which she was still writing when she died in 1976. I brought it home and read it in one sitting, which I never do due to my children's interruptions and also my near inability to read more than a paragraph of anything before I have to stop and write about it. Jean Rhys tells of being sent 2 dolls as a gift when she was a child in Dominica and having to give her little sister the one that she herself preferred. She took the unwanted doll out into the garden, smashed its face in with a rock, and buried it under a tree. That the long dead woman's doll is still there, 6 inches under in Dominica, made me think of my own childhood trash: light bright pegs, snack cake wrappers, a Donnie and Marie record player, interred and likely still intact in the municipal landfill of Wayland, Massachusetts. We spent last Columbus Day weekend at a rundown resort in New Hampshire, and shortly after we arrived, a couple got married on the lawn overlooking the pond, which reflected the mountains at peak autumn splendor. I told the kids we could hang back and watch if they promised not to make a racket. The ceremony began with the officiant asking guests to turn off their phones at the request of the bride and groom so that everyone might remember the ceremony, quote, as it is, in the moment, not as reflected on a small screen. This, I thought, is so precious, so artificial. I would never presume to curate others' memories, except for my children's, and least of all my own. With my days now abruptly scrubbed of activity, my life looks less to me like a line than a hopper. If I dig out and toss in all the junky plastic beads of my existence that have rolled under the furniture and fallen into the cracks of my consciousness, then what will fall out the bottom? Thank you.
It's hard to hear you. Oh, can you hear me now? Yeah. Okay, I'll try to stay close to the mic. Or this is my chapbook, Animatronic Head Trophy, published by Press Break, and Ian Fishman makes these wonderful chapbooks. It's in Western Mass. He's coming out with one from John Ruseski and one from Deborah Dixon in the near future, and I think also one of hitherto unpublished work of James Tate. And he's just doing a great thing in Western Mass, making these chapbooks. So thank you, Ian, for this chapbook. And you can buy it over there. An old story forgets your tongue whistling. An old story forgets its youth when it began backwards to speak. A kid might learn other alphabets of musical notation for opening themes to be composed of those small songs one sings of no attention, bathing or dishes when the story streams to tell itself the mind elsewhere and the time threadbare, and behind that telling is a rhyme unmatched, the same word twice upon the page. The page turns to rage, the rage ages, and the page turns. No light, but what is your tongue whistling? Worms breathe out a robin. Worms breathe whatever air they reach underground. Their skin accepts oxygen and channels it into their blood. But these little birds, loud with alleged song, devour everything in or beneath the visible world. Once I dreamed parrots talking in their sleep, but I couldn't understand because they were speaking parrot language, in which melody is syntax and grammar entirely reference to the songs of other birds, and there are no words. I'm trying to extend the hollow tree's empty space as far as it will go without a beak. The soil crawls around in circles, drying upward when the rain stops or someone forgets a potted plant, a long-time plan, and goes outside to find the sky covered with leaves, the ground with dirt, violets just beginning to arrive, and worms fruitfully under the tree, and breathes whatever air is there. Look out, a robin. Tubing song. Tubing bros upset a beer can on a boulder in the rapids and sang like an animatronic head trophy catchy tunes. The trout found unfamiliar. Angle fell from as above, casting shadow flies enticingly close to a starved and silent mouth. Reaching metal barbs, nibblers can't be choosers. So below the line, the fish breathes impotent fire. Into the stream, it desires nothing so much as to forget the action of gills upon water, unsteady rhythm of reeds. The metronome heart thumps visibly sane, whatever spirit moves, leaping for a sign as if it were a thing as if song. Frogs movement. Frogs, like croaking names, turn reads language the way a publisher authorizes reproduction, or an autobiographer evaluates leafy memories of childhood picnic research shows was in a treeless bog. Color fills eyeballs without shape or object, unless I recall vocabulary, a scrawl of green, moss on rock, lichen to the rock, also clinging to itself, symbiont self, depending on how you misunderstand life as movement. Impersonal horse. Impersonal buzzings of insects, an airplane like a starfish overhead. The feathered gulls emerge as faded fish, pale sardines schooling in the wind. The wind ripples the surface of the mirage on the road as you approach a very real river. An old frog musician sings only for the eyes on the wings of silent butterflies, Visionless and dark the moths sing like snowflakes around a fire, an elusive star that melts solid to dust. The fireflies dare fly not near nor approach even a silent horseman riding a silent horse. No life teemed but rocks. Multitudes lost as the future narrowed and the color changed almost every day. A cloud took the form of a clouded face, and a crab carapace was placed on a bench constructed to overlook the sea where no life teemed but rocks tossed up by drowning waves from distant shores of all shapes and sizes collect themselves into the collection of a collector who later dies and wills his estate elsewhere where no body holds them but the earth. But what small hoof? But what it is icy wilderness, permafrost that only melts because humans are awful. Tundra overrun by elk, the elk overrun by elk, the thundering dirt. If it were possible, you follow one animal around the inside, stampede carefully until nighttime when the landscape looms over your small hoof. Revving man. Revving daily, spinning motors circle woods and herd words unbecoming, unspoken by a man when describing to a woman his own kind of half unfinished reconstructions of belonged developments in western flatlands, never mind the desert greened by sheer determination to hedge risky landscape this recovered forest meadow sodded over again with the image of a real estate somewhere in Europe owned by a king. A mower etches sound into action, scrawling empty sense of grass, of wood on trees, marks on earth. This rightward movement builds on every blink a clarity of cut between two forests, the before and after. Insects were unknown to man. The laws of psychics. A holy wind makes bricks burn brick red below the legible chimney. Hymnal leaves fluttering a choir, queers clear requirements for successful service, or mass of bodies that chant I sing, a man of God, less perfect sense, more relentless hierarchy of desires overcame the basement's formal dance with potted ferns like those overgrown border hedges that enforce the laws of psychics. time for a few more. Quadrupeds of entanglement. Quadrupeds evolved once, and then time went by whistling, until semantic ears grew lobes, ability to speak about ears governed by missshaping exposed muscle, percussing sharp bone, grown carefully small. 16 enameled nerveless, atop a ridge facing away from itself always, except when your close nose hums intervals in which parenthetical doors open and shut. See elsewhere, allegorical phonemes haunt the entire house. And finally, simple nouns like fire, which blazes, verbs like tongue to tongue, their own sound fondly for a long-time visitor's edification. Longingly they mean exactly what they want, the absence of animal things or plant ideas of entanglement. Arm extended in eyeing for higher air. An arm extended into a question I might ask if anyone asks me to, or marks time in a minor key, opening the hips, shoulders, elbows, inviting your enemies outside to throw shade on your home. A cool breeze brings no interruption. The animals vocalize wood sounds and trample mountain lilac bushes, already flowered and gone, but contorted toward next year's growth. Busily taking census of today's compost. A woman writes, one rocking chair over, spilling into clothes of oncoming air. She sees mesh, through which sees forest, wild grapes through which run squirrels, acorned oaks through which birds hoot, and which call, who cooks for you? And which screech, creaking branch of pine for higher air. A print of a windowless room. A print of a tapestry and its frame, face of floral placemat, hung opposite a unicorn, its flowers barely visible, the background otherwise red, the usually horizontal. 2 red flags here flown, now as vertical as 2 tall trees bearing fruit, if a painting on a wall made shelter for smaller stripes of diagonal stitchwork, with acorns or berries, overwhelm the blue, depending upon which flowers on a blue wall, structure towers over fig or pine, framed only by an edge stitch, while the other fenced garden and a sense of architecture has a simply carved, gently worn meaning of a rectangle, evoking in the viewer more elaboration to behold their own beholden than was placed there by the maker to love their own beloved as an allegory, but a woman never seen whose hand kneels in the garden, made far away in a windowless room. Hannah, will you read this one with me? Because this is kind of for 2 voices. Do you mind?
No.
Okay, this is the last poem. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Do you need me to?
Pick a side. Left or right.
Okay. Why don't you start us?
Start us, and then we'll sing together on the last line.
Okay. Okay.
A window, it's called a window without this. A window hummingbird,
Soundless buzzing
wings transparent while
inside clamor.
the cat's back arch,
Conversational pause.
a linear scratch
The phonograph round
around silence interrupted,
by another silence.
the breath elaborated,
By brass.
a plastic saxophone.
Escaped air.
Sometimes you
Never heard such.
Esperanto futility,
Musically important.
vestigial technology
Decadent business.
of poetry, the print,
Fine, but the capital
decayed,
into mere form.
trading company,
For far pontoons.
export economy,
File extensions.
unsung guzzles,
Tell no tales.
the common puffin,
Wouldn't,
you know what,
I mean,
Without
without this.
Hey, thank you everybody for showing up. And I've been told to plug these books. We have books from all of the poets who read today. In the shop, many copies right over there. Buy some and have a great evening. And another round of applause for the poets, of course.
Yeah, I know. Probably that was like.